This is Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Don't curse, speak English.
Armstrong.
Virtuous society.
Armstrong.
I dare you to listen.
Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong.
Elevate your mind.
Armstrong.
I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side.
Armstrong.
Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers.
Armstrong.
The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up.
Hey. Hello, everybody. Hello. Nancy, how you doing? There's Nancy walking through. That's what you're doing. You look good. You look purty. Now, I'm not Brent Musburger. I can tell my stuff they look purty. Okay? Logan, do you tell your wife she's purty?
All the time, Armstrong.
What is wrong with telling a woman she looks good?
You know, there is absolutely nothing with telling a woman she looks good. As a matter of fact, you should tell everybody when they look good. And, you know, I had an interesting experience with my father about 40 years ago. My father was one of these guys, whenever he would see somebody, he would tell them that they looked good and how happy he was to see them. And, you know, he walked into a room and there were these, you know, what I considered at that time, these fat, old, ugly ladies. And my father went up to every one of them and said how good-looking they were and how happy he was to see them. And afterwards I said to my father, how could you say that? Those weren't beautiful women. And he said, you know what? Every time I look at somebody, I see something beautiful about them. You know, he said, there is something beautiful about every person on this earth, and you just have to find it, you look for it, and it's there.
Raynard, what about you, bro? Raynard, welcome to the house.
Thank you, Armstrong. Good
Voice
to be
sounds strong. Welcome to the house. Now, what's wrong with telling a woman she purty? That's how they say it in the South. She purty.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But Musburger, I mean, this boy went overboard. He went way overboard because obviously his wife doesn't look that good. So.
You know what? For complete disclosure, I watched the game. Okay. Brett Musburger was okay in the beginning, but the way he kept going on was just made me very uncomfortable. Even I said at the moment, I said, shut up, man. You're going too far. I don't want you to become the story tomorrow. And guess what? He became tomorrow's story.
I mean, not only that, but she went, I think, the day before, she had maybe 21,000 followers. She's over 212,000 followers overnight on her Twitter.
You know what? Should we lock Notre Dame up for showing up and pretending to be a national champion, Logan?
Armstrong, sometimes you get on the field and you don't perform.
No, that was a beatdown. Come on, Renard, tell him. Logan is not a sports guy. You can tell by his answer.
Yeah,
tell him what a beatdown is.
It was embarrassing. I mean, 21-0 in the first quarter, I think it was. It was just a disaster. And what are you going to say? Nick Saban had his team prepared to play, and they delivered.
I want to celebrate. There's so many things I want to celebrate today. I'm glad that Raynard is joining us. Logan is back. We haven't talked to Logan in about 3 weeks. Ken Leonshank will be joining us in the last half hour of the show. And there are a lot of interesting things going on in this country that I must add. I haven't had a chance to ask my brethren on this side of the new time in our lives the most important things that you see that is trending that has happened so far in 2013. We'll start with Raynard Jackson since he's the new man in the house.
Trending for 2013, number one, I think Obama has, well, I guess there's a continuation of a trend of throwing black women under the bus, more specifically Susan Rice not standing behind her pre-nomination. I think that's a trend that's continuing. But I think a negative trend is the Republican Congress needs to stand up more to Obama on a myriad of issues. And if they don't show a little backbone, Armstrong, we may lose the House in 2014.
LD?
Well, politically, I have to agree with Raynard that the Republican Party has to stand up for what it believes in. And what it believes in and what it proposed and then what it said to the American people that it believed in was keeping taxes low and keeping spending under control. And given the deal that was struck for the fiscal cliff at the end of the year, they did neither of those.
You know, I would let me tell you what I'm curious about. I'm curious to see whether or not the Congress is going to continue its gridlock. I actually thought that after the elections, the past 3 or 4 years do nothing Congress, the Congress that never balanced the budget, I actually think that there's some serious legislation that needs their attention, that needs to be addressed. I don't know if the Congress will continue with their past results, or whether you think they will finally grow up and govern and lead, Reynard.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. The question is, Armstrong and Logan, in order to be a viable party, do you have to toe a purist line, left or right, or is compromise a part of a winning strategy? In the case I will point people to is people who have different views on Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey. I tend to like what he's doing there because he has shown an ability to get things through a Democratic Congress there in New Jersey and deliver results for the benefit of the people while he's lowering taxes and getting rid of regulations. So is that a model that the Republicans should follow?
Logan?
You know, in my judgment, you have certain core beliefs, and you have to stick to those core beliefs. But as long as you can compromise without compromising your core beliefs or the essence of your core beliefs, then I think that's very appropriate. One of the things that happens when you compromise some of your core beliefs is that you get ratcheted into a situation that you don't want to end up in a negotiating position. For example, once you start giving certain people or corporations some benefit from the government, it's very, very hard to take that benefit away. Try to take away the benefit of that the oil companies have for oil depletion, or try to take away some of the benefits that the solar companies have for solar credits. You can go on and on. Try to take away some of the Social Security benefits and Medicare benefits that retirees have, or even people who are approaching retirement. It's very, very difficult to take those away once they're given it. And so you get ratcheted into a situation where it's easy to increase spending, but virtually impossible to cut it, because nobody wants to see their benefit cut. So I think you have to be very careful when you're compromising, that you're compromising in a way that doesn't get you into that ratchet effect where you can't control your future.
Well, it is always true that it's much easier to give someone something than it is to take it away. That is definitely a school of thought. Let's talk about, and Logan, I completely agree with what you just said, but I'm just wondering, I want to take some issues during a few moments of the show, and we're going to take callers. Our phone lines are open. And I want to see where we can compromise. I noticed that Vice President Biden has finally found this common sense vein and decided to invite the NRA to the table to discuss what to do about gun violence in this country, because the president wants to do it through executive order, and that is pretty frightening. So I want to take.
Oh, that's scary. That is more than frightening. It leads to dictatorship.
Look, obviously, it is a petrifying thought. So I want to talk about gun control. I also want to talk about immigration. The issue of immigration, borders are becoming more porous. We do have an immigration problem in this country. It's not getting any better. And then I also want to talk about what should we do about being in Afghanistan and what should we do about the continuing deterioration of the situation in Iraq. And then I want to also lead into what we should do about the oil dependency, because one of the reasons why we have such conflict and why we tolerate so much in the Middle East, because of our perceived dependency on oil. But America is, without a doubt, is the future of petroleum. We have the best oil reserves in the world right now if we just allow ourselves to tap into them. So what I want to do, I want to start with the more simple issue is one that I didn't mention, and I'm going to start with you, Reynard. How do we get, well, this is what we're going to come back to, how do we get Americans away from a give me something mentality to the entitlement mentality to make them understand that unless we start cutting spending and reduce the deficit, America's best days are so far behind them you never see them again. We'll be back.
Attention, a very wealthy international benefactor now reveals money-making secrets used by the rich and powerful. Now you can learn how to make more money than you ever dreamed possible. Ancient secrets that have been used by members of secret societies for centuries are now being revealed. Now this money-making secret is being made available to the public. Receive the CD, Money Making Secrets Revealed, absolutely free. Learn how you can make money, achieve your dreams, eliminate debt, and develop super wealth. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and is available only for a limited time. Call and get Money Making Secrets Revealed absolutely free.
Dial 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522. 1-800-839-4522. Remember, 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams, expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
I'm Armstrong Williams, and don't forget about the money-making secrets. Call 1-800-839-4522. 1-800-839-4522. Reynard, the entitlement society. And Rogan is right. You've given it to them, trying to take it away. is a horse of a different color.
Yeah, well, we have over the past 40 years made people so dependent on government programs, Armstrong and Logan. The only way to get folks off is basically say, hey, the gravy train has been cut off. We ain't got no more money. And just cut them off. I mean, this whole thing about trying to make people feel good, we have dire financial straits, and the Congress has been derelict in their responsibilities of having balanced budgets, having tax cuts that are paid for. For example, this fiscal cliff and even this New Jersey the Hurricane Sandy relief bill was packed with so much pork. We've got to tell the American people across the board, everybody has to take a hit from their favorite program, and we have to be adult enough to make people understand that.
Logan, where is the, I know we mentioned some issues about them, but let's start about with the jobs and the economy. Someone just said that guns are the distractions of the week. They still feel that the administration is still rowing in the wrong direction. They need to give them their money back. The United States government is spending $6.8 trillion per year, $55,000 per family. What about the jobs and the economy?
Well, there's been no good news on jobs for 4 or 5 years. The news that comes out on jobs at best is just not bad news. And we've gotten to the point over the last 3 or 4 years where not bad news is good news. Okay? And under the best of circumstances, the best thing that you can say with the numbers that have come out over the last year, and even before that, is that we are basically treading water. We're not adding net new jobs in the economy. We're adding just enough jobs to take care of people who are entering the workforce. Now, that's a very, very difficult situation. And what's particularly difficult is that the group that bears the brunt of that lack of jobs are our children. It's the young people who are coming out of high school, who are coming out of college, who are coming out of graduate school, who can't find a decent job. And we've all heard that. We all know students, young people who are looking for jobs, who've taken jobs that are way below what their capability is and what their expectations were. We are killing the golden goose in America by not providing an economy which is going to provide jobs, good jobs for our young people. The question then becomes, what can we do as Americans that will help create jobs? The first thing that the government should do is to take the medical profession's, one of their sayings, which is, first thing, do no harm. And what we've done instead is, instead of doing no harm and letting the economy, letting the business cycle run its course, is that the government interferes and tries to create jobs, and it tries to create government jobs. And the way you create government jobs is that you either borrow money from the private sector or you take tax money. That is money that would otherwise be spent in the private sector creating private jobs, and we end up creating public jobs. That doesn't create net wealth. All that does is transfer wealth and jobs from the private sector to the public sector. Nothing net new.
All right, so let me ask Logan a question, being a trained economist. Everybody that's receiving some type of government payout, welfare, exclusion for those who have physical and mental issues. But, for example, we keep extending the unemployment benefits for those who've been unemployed. Why don't we, if we're going to extend the benefits, mandate that each person who receives a check has to do some type of work? Those who are able to work on the highways, fine. Those who are able to do office work, but if you're getting a check, it has to be matched with some type of work that the government does already. What do you think about that?
Well, in one sense, people are going to complain that maybe that's involuntary servitude, otherwise known as slavery. But I think the real problem with that is that people who are unemployed for a long period of time, like more than 6 months, have to make some very difficult decisions about their lives. They have to decide that they have to change their profession. They have to change the industry that they're in. God forbid, they may have to sell their house and move to a different location, a different community. But they have to make some very, very tough choices about the changes that they have to make in their lives. Now, if you extend unemployment benefits from 6 months to 2 years, which is basically what we've done over the last couple of years, if you do that, what you do is that you put off, you let people postpone difficult decisions. And as all of us know, nobody makes a difficult decision until they're forced to make those decisions. And we, as a country, and the individuals who are lacking a job, would be much better off to face the issue up front and say, how am I going to change my life so that I can find a good job, or find a job, period. Don't put it off. Take care of it now.
Let me raise this with you. I tell you, we're getting some very good feedback on our live stream today. Nobody's going to disagree with any modicum of business sense that we should stop taxing investments. Talk about what it is that the government engages in, Logan, and Reynard being economists, in which there's value added wealth creativity.
I don't quite understand the question. Is the question, what does the government do that creates value to the economy?
Does the government engage in anything that adds value to wealth creating activity in this country?
Well, yes, it does. Okay? And we know what that is. In general, it's called infrastructure. And it's called, investment in things like education or science programs. There are a number of things that the government does that are very useful, and only the government can do it, and it creates value. And if you look at the great infrastructure programs of the 20th century and the 19th century, starting with probably the mother of them all, which is the Erie Canal, by doing that kind of investment, it created a lot of growth in America. The Erie Canal, the railroads, right after the Civil War, the interstate highway system under Eisenhower in the 50s. There are some great infrastructure programs that added value to America and added wealth. Unfortunately, most of the spending in America today is not infrastructure spending. Approximately 65% of all spending by the federal government today involves transfer payments or entitlements of some sort. In other words, it takes money from one group of people who are taxpayers and gives it to another group of people who are receiving these transfer payments. That does not create wealth. The infrastructure building does. Investment in education, giving money to land-grant colleges back in the late 19th century created wealth because it educated people in a way that made them much more productive. So to the extent that we can find those type of infrastructure programs, they really do add benefits.
What is the right balance to strike on the gun control issue? Renard, we'll start with you.
Well, I think the first thing is I thought the NRA's press conference right after Connecticut, I thought it was a disaster. I think the NRA has to understand the optics and the politics of their issue. I think they're on the right side constitutionally of the right to bear arms, but sometimes you got to mix your rights with the right PR and the optics of your issue. And optically, I think the NRA is getting a black eye, and it's all self-inflicted. And I think they really, really need to get some advice on how to navigate the political storm they're going through with the optics of what's going on, because optically it doesn't look good.
Miss Paulette, you have a comment? Go ahead. Thank you for calling.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
2013.
I was wondering, since y'all were talking about the people that are on public assistance and like that, do y'all remember TANF, temporary assistant to needy families? But I worked with some groups, and our thing was to create education and to also create work skills. They had to volunteer their time, but as a spinoff, they were getting child care so they can leave to go to work or train on a job. That's what helped them to be able to be more viable in society, which I think we need to do that again, whether it's male or female. Now, if you got unemployed at no fault of your
Miss
own...
Paulette, hold there.
Okay,
We're coming back. Miss Paulette, hold there. We're coming back to you. Radar Jackson, Logan Delany, Miss Paulette on the line. Ken Leon Sick will be calling in. I'm Armstrong Williams. Info at rightsidewire.com. Don't go away.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Miss Pauline, please continue.
Yes. I don't know if you heard my first comment regarding TANF, temporary assistance to needy families.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, back in the 90s, I worked with HUD and along with the Department of Social Services. And because I worked with people that lived in public housing, TANF came through President Clinton. But a lot of people tried to take advantage of it, but which that always happened in any type of money, whatever you're getting. But those programs need to come back because there were criteria. You couldn't just be getting assistance. You had to be trying to go to school, and they would help assist with that. Plus, you would have to be trying to get a trade or something, or to volunteer and do some work to learn a trade. But you would still get your public assistance, which meant that you had to get your behind up every day and go to work somewhere and to prove that you want to do something in society other than lay around and be lazy and collect a check. Now, most of those programs are gone, but those programs work for a lot of people. And many of us were mentors to the people that were in the programs, and we saw that. We kept their feet to the fire. We told them either you're going to do it or we're going to have you cut off, and we're not going to babysit you. We're not going to try to make you do anything. You got to want this for yourself.
What has changed?
Well, I mean, what has changed is we have decided to, as you stated earlier, to expand this entitlement society where people think they have a right to take a benefit without putting any sweat equity or anything into the kitty. And so we have a whole generation of people who think they are entitled to 2 years of unemployment, even though they haven't paid 2 years worth of taxes into the system. I mean, it's crazy. This all started back in probably the Clinton days, when the economy took a dip and it was on the incline as Clinton was coming in, but people were still unemployed, and he kept extending the unemployment benefits, and now people are expecting, if they get unemployed, they are entitled to a constant extension of the benefits. And the Congress is doing it, but the thing that troubles me, and Logan, you know more about this than I, is that the Congress, Democrat and Republican, are not offsetting these extensions of payments with a reduction of spending in other areas. So we're increasing the deficit by doing this.
You know, we also have created what the economists call a moral hazard by doing this. And the moral hazard is that if all Americans agreed that we wanted to extend unemployment insurance benefits to every American who's unemployed for 2 years, and we had to pay for it at the same time. That is, those taxpayers who are still working and still voting, they had to pay for it at the same time. Somebody would have to go to these Americans and say, look, the cost to you as an average American is going to be X. Let's pick a number, $100 a year. Okay, are you willing to pay $100 a year, or a certain percentage of your salary, 2% of your salary, so that these unemployed people can be on the dole for another 18 months? And if all Americans said, yes, we are willing to pay for it, that's fine. But the fact is that what we do instead is that we say, hey, we're going to let these Americans go on the dole for an additional 18 months, and nobody has to pay for it. So everybody says, well, if I don't have to pay for it, it's not costing me anything. Sure, go right ahead, without making an economic decision. And that's where our society is today. We think there's a free lunch, and in fact, somebody's got to pay for it.
Oh, boy.
Ms. Paulette, go ahead.
Yes, sir?
Your final comment, go ahead.
I thought you heard my comment.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. Thank you. What are we to do on immigration, Raynard?
Well, let me start telling you where I have the clear line in the sand. I will support any compromise short of citizenship. So if we want to compromise and say, well, those in the country illegally, we will give them permanent resident status or give them a permanent work permit where they can come and go, fine. But anything including citizenship is a deal breaker for me.
I know Ken Leonchek, somebody just reminded me that Ken Leonchek, my guest, so it seems like it's been eons since I've spoken to my brother. I almost did not realize he was still among the living. Welcome back among the living, Ken.
Thank you, and good to be talking to you in 2013.
Logan, it's our friend Ken Leonchek.
It's good to hear Ken's voice.
So, Ken,
what are we? A good year with Ken around.
Yeah, Ken, what are we going to do about illegal immigration, the immigration issue in this country?
You know, the immigration issue, I wish that we could find a sensible solution to the problem that we have, but I'm so afraid that no solution could be found because on both sides there are equities involved where people just don't want to give in. We've got, manufacturers, some farms that want cheap labor, some retail institutions. You've got some bad actors out there, even that like to have people who work for them who can be paid less than minimum wage, and then on the other side we've got folks who really I think unfortunately sometimes lump any immigration, legal or illegal, into the same bag and have a protectionist viewpoint and say we don't want any new workers coming into here because they're taking American jobs, and that just creates such a terrible problem. But I have to say that with the people who are here, you think there's got to be some way to figure out who's here, ask them if they want to stay, create a way of registration. So for Homeland Security issues, we know who's in our borders. We know that people can be protected by the law, so that it's not just watching them; it's allowing them to get protection from the law. And then when it comes to illegal immigration in the future, I would hope that by making that change for having a better system for people to be legally in the country, that might be a way to fix that problem. But I'm pessimistic.
Logan?
I think the problem is relatively easy to fix. And I come down somewhere close to where Renard comes down, which is the people who are here illegally, let's give them work permits. It just doesn't make sense to ask 10 million people to leave, pick up and leave tomorrow. It's not practical. We have to realize that we need a practical solution, but we don't have to give them a path to citizenship. If you want a path to citizenship, go back to your home country and get online.
But does that mean that they should be given free, given the public education and other benefits for living here?
Yes. You have to, you have no choice. You have no choice. They're paying taxes to America. They're living here.
Are they paying taxes to America?
Here. You've got, they are participating in our economic lives. It's a fact of life. You can't have second-class residents if you admit that they have to, if they're going to be here working. That's my personal point of view.
No,
so
well,
let them
Logan,
give them a legal residence, a work permit. You can limit it in time to, say, 2 years, 5 years, or life, but it doesn't lead to citizenship unless they go back and get online. So I think in terms of the illegal part, that's the way I would solve that problem. And I think there is a way there's flexibility within those guidelines that you could satisfy both sides.
Yeah, but Logan, how do you deal with the issue, for example, if they have legalization and they're working, but yet they don't have health insurance because they're not a citizen, and they go to the emergency room? That means you and I are paying for that, and I have an issue with that.
No, they're paying for it too. If they are paying taxes, if they're here illegally, okay, they have a work permit, they're paying taxes, they're paying the same taxes that you and I are paying, so they're entitled to that.
Well, no, because even though they may be paying taxes, I would venture to say that if they're going to the emergency room as their primary means of health care, they're getting more in benefits than they're paying into the system via taxes.
Well, that's one of the problems with our system is that we've set up a system where even if you're a U.S. citizen and you sit on your butt and you don't do anything, and you live off welfare, you live off the fat of the land, and you get sick, and you go to the health care, you go to the local emergency room, they'll take care of you. I don't see anything morally more superior about that lazy American than I do about the more energetic Mexican that comes over here.
Hold that point.
He's working his butt.
Hold there. Ken Leonchek, Radar Jackson, Logan Delany. Our phone lines are open. We'll be back.
Attention, a very wealthy international benefactor now reveals money-making secrets used by the rich and powerful. Now you can learn how to make more money than you ever dreamed possible. Ancient secrets that have been used by members of secret societies for centuries are now being revealed. Now this money-making secret is being made available to the public. Receive the CD, Money Making Secrets Revealed, absolutely free. Learn how you can make money, achieve your dreams, eliminate debt, and develop super wealth. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and is available only for a limited time. Call and get Money Making Secrets Revealed absolutely free.
Dial 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522. 1-800-839-4522. Remember, 1-800-839-4522. That's 1-800-839-4522.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back as we continue the immigration discussion.
Yes, what I was saying, Logan, is you seem to be making a equivocation, or you seem to be equating someone in the country who has legal permanent status versus a citizen. And if you're not a citizen, I don't think you should be able to get the benefits of citizenship, even if you are paying taxes. That I would have a problem with that.
Well, I think you have to be. I will tell you that if you are here with a work permit as a legal resident, there's a certain and you're contributing to American society, and you are unfortunate enough to get into an accident or have a serious illness. We can't let that person just sort of die in the street. I think we have a humane obligation to that person.
I agree.
Okay, so I'm just, as a practical matter, as a Christian, as a humane American, I feel even though that person, you may feel that person, though not a legal resident here, shouldn't get it. I just can't bring myself to be so harsh as to say I'm going to let that person die just because he or she is illegal.
Well, that's what they do in Mexico. If you're illegal in Mexico, you don't get 1/10 of the benefits we give the illegals here in the U.S.
Well, just because Mexico does something doesn't mean that we should be doing it too. I mean, we are a much richer country than Mexico. We have a different standard of ethics than they have in Mexico. I mean, the fact is, while it may not be legal to bribe people in Mexico, it's certainly the custom there. But nobody in their right mind in the United States would say that we should permit bribery and bring that custom here. I mean, just because it's customary to let people die in the streets in certain poor countries, and they do it, is not a justification for us in the United States to do that for people here.
Ken?
I'm with Logan on this one, pretty wholeheartedly, and I think, frankly, that people who pay, particularly people who pay taxes and are legally on a work permit, I do feel like they should get many of the benefits, that we give to citizens. And from a healthcare issue, I don't like the fact that our emergency rooms are used as primary care by people, whether they pay into the system or not, because that's a really bad economic decision that hurts us all. But when it comes to providing emergency room health care, I'd much rather err on the side of compassion, I guess. I can remember I was in France when I was injured, and I was just a tourist, and I received free health care over there. I wasn't paying into the system. I wasn't working. I was simply a tourist, and I was prepared to pay for my health care, but their system was to give it. I hurt myself a little bit in Mexico one time a while ago, and had to make a brief stop to the emergency room, and they made me pay. They made me pay out of pocket, and I was able to do it. And I did wonder, gosh, how awful it would be. I'm not trying to pick on Mexico. I'm just using this example. How awful would it be if I wasn't able to pay? I wonder if they would have, would have treated this just minor issue. And what about people with serious issues? So I'm glad that as a country we make certain decisions. For me, frankly, it is my faith and Christianity guides me, and there are others who share that faith who may disagree, but for me as a guiding principle, I think that compassion is what makes America exceptional. That doesn't mean we should be stupid, just like I said in the Big Lebowski, one of my favorite movies, just because I'm bereaving doesn't mean I'm a chump. Well, just because I'm compassionate doesn't mean I'm a chump. So I think we need to make some real changes to our emergency rooms being used, particularly by a lot of people now who are illegal immigrants for primary care. That's got to stop. But I do think that providing health care in a compassionate basis, even in that emergency room, if we've got to err on one side, I think we should err on the compassionate side.
733-5620-1866-620-6620. When are we going to have a balanced budget in this country, Logan?
I think I'll probably be in the grave before it happens, because I see nothing in the foreseeable future which is forcing us to a balanced budget. The only thing, if you think about it, countries are like people. They make difficult decisions when their backs are against the wall. And I think the only time that we will get a balanced budget in the foreseeable future is if one of two things occurs. One is that we have an unlikely growth spurt in the American economy where we're growing at more than 4%. Then we got a shot at it of increasing tax revenues through growth in our economy. I think that's possible, but I'd assign a probability of less than 10% of that happening in the foreseeable future. The more likely aspect is that when Congress, when the United States government goes to the market, at some point, the market is going to say, I'm sorry, we are not going to finance your deficits anymore. And if you want us to finance it, it's going to be very, very expensive. And this is what's happened in Greece. It's what's happening in much of southern Europe with the pigs, where the market's saying, wait, if you want us to finance your deficits, you have to make some very difficult decisions which involve austerity. And generally speaking, politicians will not make those decisions unless their backs are forced to the wall. In the case of Greece, they're making certain decisions, and not successfully, I might add, because the rest of the EU will not finance their deficits without them making certain austerity moves. So I think we're going to be backed against the wall. Our creditors, whether they're the Chinese or whether they are the Saudis who hold our debt, are going to say, okay, America, we're not paying anymore. We want you to pay us off, and we don't want you to pay us off by having the Federal Reserve print money, which cheapens the value of the bonds that we're already holding.
Ken?
I really wish we'd have a balanced budget quickly, and we can't even get a regular budget with our current elected officials. A balanced one, why balance it when you can keep borrowing and playing with the numbers? What's their incentive? We've had as much pressure as I think can be put on us internally and externally by our creditors as well, and we're acting the same way. I really do agree. The only way I can see a balanced budget is not through two options. One, we get a government elected House, Senate, and President, all who are committed to a balanced budget as an ideological for ideological reasons, and that won't happen for 4 years at the earliest, and who knows if it will. Or we have some very unexpected growth, but sure doesn't look like we're going to have unexpected growth anytime soon. So I wouldn't put that on the foreseeable future list.
Renard, what is it that you can sort of gather from the nominees for the cabinet positions the president is recommending in terms of what will his next 4 years will be like and the people he's surrounding himself with now?
Well, my take is, number one, that defense spending is going to decrease in Obama's second term. I think the military presence in Iraq and Afghanistan are going to be reduced. Of course, in Afghanistan, they're going to be out. And so I think it's going to be a retreat on the foreign policy side as far as spending and military presence. That's what I'm saying in the appointment so far.
Ken?
I think first there have been a lot of men who've been appointed, which is interesting, and I think it shows that President Obama once again is willing to put a Republican in a key defense position, and I think it shows that he is willing to surprise people by picking someone that the Israel lobby isn't particularly thrilled with. He's once again showing that. He's willing to surprise us a little bit. However, none of these people selected, I mean, in some ways they're all sort of establishment choices to a certain extent. So it's kind of same of the same old, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Logan, were you a little surprised and disappointed that your name was not circulated for Secretary of Defense?
No, I quite frankly, if Obama did that, I would really be disturbed about his judgment. I would not want to be Secretary of Defense. I'm not qualified to be Secretary of Defense. But I will tell you that the job of Secretary of Treasury is, I think, disappointing that he didn't make a better choice than it appears that the one he's made, which is Mr. Liu. And to me, Jacob Liu is the typical Washington insider who, his does not have the kind of Rolodex or contacts or stature that you want in a Secretary of Treasury.
Well, I was a
difficult environment.
I was a little surprised he did not name Herman Cain as the Secretary of Treasury, but that's my opinion. We need some 999. Thank you all so much.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new